Offneil Inennis and Tanisha Evans' lives would change forever when their domestic argument in a Wells Fargo parking lot turned violent.
And you recall shooting her? I recall yelling the gun going off, but I don't recall, pulling the trigger or anything like that.
In his words, it was an accident.
And that you loved this woman, correct?
Yeah.
You loved her enough to pull a weapon on her. You scared her.
But it was his partner who would suffer the consequences.
I'm just at a stage of my life where I just meet people.
At midday on March 16, 2019, police arrived at 21 North Main Street in Alpharetta, Atlanta, after receiving several calls about a shooting in a Wells Fargo parking lot. According to callers, the shooter was still at the scene.
911, what's the address of your emergency?
Sir, my name is Brian Williams. We need the police at Milton Avenue and Academy Street in Alpharetta. A man just shot a woman in the parking lot at Wells Fargo Bank.
They pulled into a gruesome sight. 45-year-old Tanisha Evans was lying flat on her back in the parking lot, her arms around her head, and blood pooling around her. To the left of Evans was her on-and-off boyfriend, 64-year-old Offneil Inennis.
The image of Tanisha Evans lying in that parking lot, blood pooling around her, is haunting. This wasn't just a crime. It was a life stolen in a moment of chaos. As a single mother of 4, Tanisha fought to keep her family afloat, and Neil, someone she trusted, turned a moment of help into tragedy. What pushes a relationship to this breaking point? Let's dig into the history that led to this devastating day.
But what happened? Tanisha Evans and Offneil Inennis, known to most people as Neil, had been in an on-again, off-again relationship for 2.5 years. According to information taken from Neil during his interrogation, the pair met in 2016 when they were both driving buses for the Fulton County School District. At the time of her death, Tanisha had a full-time job in the healthcare industry. She was a single mother of 4, and Neil had 1 daughter. The relationship was rocky from the start, with recurring fights over accusations of infidelity. According to police interrogations, reports, affidavits, and news outlets, Neil had filed 2 separate police reports against Tanisha during their relationship, though he declined to press charges against her.
Like I told her, I want this to be over with. It was tiring. I came here and I filed 2 different reports.
The first report was filed early in the relationship. In 2017, Neil and Tanisha got into a disagreement, and afterwards, Tanisha allegedly began stalking Neil, leading to the first police report. The second police report came about after a fight between the couple that occurred in Neil's car. After Tanisha left, Neil realized his phone was missing. Tanisha denied taking it, but after Neil reported the stolen phone to police, the phone later turned up on Neil's school bus. Tanisha had left it there, claiming someone had dropped it off at her house. Consequently, Neil filed his second police report just 1 month before the shooting.
She started yelling agreement
outside of his car to give her the money. She arrived shortly after, and according to Neil, an argument began as soon as he gave her the money. He claimed she again brought up the supposed incident between him and another woman, and when he tried to get back into his car to leave, she stood in between him and the driver's door. This is when things escalated. Neil began filming the interaction on his smartphone, and in footage obtained by police, the tension and anger between the couple is obvious.
So what, you don't have nothing to say about the picture? Do you have anything to say about the picture? I did not do nothing to you. You can take me all you want to. That's bull.
You come up to me, motherfucker, and I'll knock your ass out.
You don't have nothing to say to me about the picture.
Move from off my car.
You don't have nothing to say to me about the picture.
Move from off of my car.
You don't have nothing to say to me about the picture.
Tanisha tried to grab his phone. That's when Neil grabbed his gun. Only a short moment later, she would be dead. Within minutes, several calls had been made to the police, and one bystander even intercepted Neil with their own firearm.
You can feel the tension through Neil's phone footage when hearing that argument escalate. Tanisha's accusations, Neil's anger, it's a powder keg. But pulling a gun to Scare someone? That's not just reckless. It's a choice with deadly consequences. The law doesn't bend for accidents when a life is lost, and Tanisha's kids are left to pick up the pieces. How does a moment of rage erase a mother's future?
Neil was taken into an interrogation room. From the beginning, his body language and tone appears tired and resigned. He talks slowly and quietly, his voice occasionally trembling. It's clear to him, and both the detective and officer in the room, that there is no talking his way out of the situation.
And who is she to you? She was my girlfriend you were dating. How long have you been dating for? About 2.5 years. 2.5 years, yeah.
The detective begins by asking Neil what happened that day. 3 different times throughout this interrogation, he will ask Neil to confirm what happened leading up to the exact moment that he shot Tanisha in the Wells Fargo parking lot. This way, he can test Neil for any inconsistencies or elements he may have missed the first time.
Today you were at the Wells Fargo?
Yeah.
What happened?
She has issues with her rent. She has to go to court on Monday. And then I went to the Wells Fargo bank who was swapped on money to give her to help pay her rent. Mm-hmm. Before I left home, she texted me and told me something about yesterday. I went over to Dunkin' Donuts and how somebody sent her a picture of me with another woman at Dunkin' Donuts when I was giving this woman. Mm-hmm. So I sent her back a text message and I said, I'm tired of you accusing me all the time. So like 2.5 years we've been together, it's always an accusation of me with another woman. Mm-hmm. I feel I'm tired of that. Mm-hmm. I feel where, I'm gonna get you the money. I feel that after that, so you're gonna communicate with me anymore. I said, don't respond to the text. Don't call me because I don't want to hear any excuses. I'm basically tired. So I got ready when I was going over to the Wells Fargo bank. She called me. I didn't answer my phone. I went to the ATM. I withdrew the money and I was sending her a text. She told me, to meet me at 11:30. And it was like 11:38. So I was texting her to tell her I'm at the bank, and then I saw her pulling into the bank. So she got out of her car. I was standing by my car. She came up and I gave her the money. And she stood between me and my car door, so I can't get inside my car. So I said to her, could you please move away so I can get into my car? And then she proceeded to conversation about how, and now she has a picture of the woman and, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I was like, this is nonsense. Mm-hmm. I was on my phone. I was recording her standing up by my door, and then she just pulled the phone out of my hand. Mm-hmm. And moved away, and I said to her, can I have my tongue free? Mm-hmm. And I don't remember what she said after that. And I just reached for my phone. I didn't need to shoot her or anything like that. I had no reason to shoot her or anything like that. And I just remember the gun going off.
Okay.
And that was it. I just...
First, a recording of an interview between detectives of 2 of Tanisha's daughters suggests that there were even more severe accusations from Tanisha towards Neil that he didn't reveal during his interrogation.
Okay. And then, would you mind, I just have a few questions that potentially you could answer, and it won't take very long, but I just want to make sure you're in the right state of mind at the moment to do that. That's okay. Because we're looking at information that's coming in through, his cell phone and stuff, things like that. But your mother may have been accusing him of having child porn. Did you ever hear anything about this?
She told me about that because she overheard a conversation where he was actually talking about me as well. Really? And she told me not to say anything to him or anything like that. I was eating something and he relayed a message to one of his friends.
Do you know what the message was? Or?
Basically, the way I was eating something, it made him want to do something to me.
Really?
And she told me it, but she was like, don't go confront him. Don't do this. Don't do that. And I was just like, okay. So I don't know that it made him uncomfortable to actually come in the house because she had asked him about it. Okay. Oh, but not only that, I can mention this. Around the time that they both were doing the police report or the police thing, he actually pushed my mama out of the moving car.
And she told me.
Push her out.
And she, literally pushed her out of his moving car. Like he was driving and he pushed her out of his car. Wow. And she was saying that she was trying to get help from, drivers around, but they told her that she needed to find a police station or something like that.
Go back to her side of town.
Yeah, and to go back to her side of town. So she ended up making it home, and she said he actually came to the apartment and was kicking on the door and, different things like that.
Of course, both of these incidents are secondhand accounts that Tanisha gave to her children. It can't be said exactly whether they occurred or not, but it adds another element to what was going on between the couple before the shooting occurred. Second, a brief phone call between the detective and Tanisha's therapist, Dr. Epperly. Epperly claims that during his sessions with Tanisha and Neil, there was no suggestion of any violent tendencies from Neil.
Oh, my God. Well, I am free to say this. There was absolutely no insinuation of in any way that there was any violent tendencies or ideation on his part. I don't, with the 2 visits, I don't know how much I can help you other than that there was not any. There were just no violent threats or ambiance in the room at all.
While 2 counseling appointments is not...
Tanisha's daughter's pain cuts deep.
Police could arrive.
Their stories of Neil's alleged behavior, pushing their mom from a car, those disturbing accusations, paint a darker picture. Yet the therapist saw no violence in Neil. It's a stark reminder. Domestic issues can hide behind closed doors, exploding in ways no one predicts. Tanisha deserved better than to be defined by this tragedy.
Neil has gone over the events of that day several times. Yet his body language and tone has remained consistent. But the detective is about to drop a bombshell that will finally push him to the edge. That's because, despite the state of Tanisha's body at the scene of the crime, Neil seems to think there is a chance that she still is alive, and that he won't be charged with murder. And at the beginning of the interrogation, the detective lets him believe it.
What is the normal procedure like? What happens after this?
Well, after this, so you are under arrest, obviously.
Okay.
We had this incident in the parking lot, and that's what I'm trying to figure out, what exactly happened, Your Tanisha had been shot, right? She had to go to the hospital, and it doesn't look good for her at this moment, okay? And so obviously we're working through that. So you're under arrest, and depending on what occurs with Tanisha, those are going to be the charges. Now, so I'm just trying to get your side of it. Do you understand? What other questions would you have?
Well, when will I be able to speak to seeing that I am under arrest? And if it doesn't look well for her, then what would I be charged with?
Murder.
Again, Tanisha passed away almost immediately after the shooting. But by letting Neil believe she could still be alive, the police are able to gather information from him in a more calm, level-headed state. Now it's time to tell him the truth.
So after you shot her, did you see the wound to her?
I thought she fell to the ground and I saw she was bleeding, and I was in shock because I at first I thought, it was just like acting, but then I saw the blood and, it kind of like put me in shock somewhat. And then I got my phone and, I did my best to get the dial. I thought and called 911,
Was your phone still recording when, the video, was it still recording?
I don't know. I would have to check.
But you were recording. She grabbed it while it was recording.
Yeah.
And so it was probably still recording unless she inadvertently hit something on it.
Well, I don't know because when I dialed 911, if that would have not hit the.
But it could, right? But
it might.
It could have been. I got the voting thing. All right. So you saw her bleeding. She fell to the ground. You tried to get to the phone and to call. Did you try to do any sort of medical?
Well, I went to her and, so I shook her and she wasn't moving. So I dialed 911.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, she is deceased.
Oh, no.
Okay. I mean, I think it was kind of obvious to the scene, though, was it not? That.
I mean, I honestly, I really couldn't tell because, like I said, it just, the whole thing, I was just in shock.
And for the first time in the video, the detective puts real pressure on him. They make it clear that his explanations, accidentally shooting someone after pointing a gun directly at their face, sounds implausible.
Mm-hmm. But you knew that she was shot in the face, right?
Yeah, because I saw the blood coming from her. I don't know.
Did you think she shot her in the mouth, or where did you shoot her at?
No, I mean, I think there was something in her forehead.
Mm-hmm.
I assume that's where, she got shot.
Mm-hmm. Well, how exactly would you shoot her in the forehead by accident?
Say that again?
How would you shoot her in the forehead by accident?
Well, she was almost as tall as me when I pulled my gun out. Sound like I said, I heard the gun went over.
Mm-hmm.
She was almost as tall as I am.
Yeah, but I mean, you had to point it directly at her face then, right?
I just pulled, to be honest with you, I just pulled it out. It was not my intention to shoot.
And I get that. So, but I mean, you pointed at her face in order to scare her.
I pulled it out, kind like this, but it wasn't. I didn't consciously choose any part of her body to point the gun at or anything like that. It was just the action.
So when you pull a gun out, that's the appropriate action is to point the gun towards the person. I mean, you couldn't just hold it down like at your side and say, give me my phone back.
Yes, I would say I could have done that, but at the same time, also there, I wasn't thinking, well, okay, I'm gonna pull out the gun and shoot her or anything like that. That was the last thing that I would have. This was something that was not supposed to happen.
I understand that. It sounds to me though like potentially you had gotten fed up with her antics against you. So here you are at Wells Fargo giving her money, and she's still taking this, still taking it out on you, and that she's, giving you all this anger and accusations, and it made you mad.
I was mad, but I wouldn't say that I was mad to that point where I would shoot her. And in terms of the setup part, all I wanted to do was to get in my car and move away. That's all I wanted to do. I had no intention whatsoever of shooting her. I didn't think of a body part to point my gun or anything like that. When she snatched the gun out of my hand, I was shocked. I was surprised because I didn't expect that she would have done that.
You said gun, but phone.
I'm sorry, when she pulled the phone out of my hand, I'm sorry. I was shocked. I wasn't expecting her to do anything like that because I don't know what was the reason. I mean, I don't have nothing on my phone that, what I'm saying.
Was it just simply the act of filming her, maybe, that you made her mad, and she's like, does she know you were filming her?
Yeah.
Years after Tanisha Evans' death, Neil Innes was sentenced to 25 years in prison. Fulton County court records show that Neil and his team pled guilty to murder and possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. He was given 20 years for Tanisha's murder and an extra 5 for possession of the firearm. Tanisha Evans' life ended senselessly on the pavement of a bank parking lot, all because of a relationship gone wrong. And her adult children, Audrey, Sean, Sharadient, and Shakima Turner, have been open about the pain that their mother's murder has caused them. I hear that there's remorse, Shakima told WSB TV Channel 2. But forgiveness is not something that I can give because I grew up without a mom. I graduated high school without a mom. There's so many milestones that I just did not have a mom for. Missed milestones and memories weren't the only pain caused to the family. Due to the loss of their mother, the children were nearly evicted from their family home in 2019. They had to start a GoFundMe to pay for transportation and funeral services so they could bury their mother in her home state of Wisconsin. Fortunately, they received help from unexpected places. Actor and filmmaker Tyler Perry heard about the story and reached out to Tanisha's children, arranging transport for their mother's body and even paying for their college tuition.
Tyler Perry stepping up to make sure a single mother's children will be taken care of after she was killed by gun violence.
Her death leaving her grieving children in Georgia without money for school.
Neil's 25-year sentence feels like justice, but can't replace Tanisha. Her kids' words about missing milestones, graduations, life moments, hit her hard. Tyler Perry's kindness gave them a lifeline, but no amount of help erases the void of a mother. This case shows how quickly trust can turn deadly, leaving families with scars. What can we learn from this pain to stop it from happening again?